urinal cake. There's our brake apparatus. Thought we were gonna have to get the gas axe after this one. No runs, no drips, no errors. The nuts fell off. That was an hour of my life I'll never get back. Chrome impact socket, don't worry. Not two trailer park girls going around the outside. Shake, shake, shake your maraca. 7 7/8, 2 7/8, that's 7/8, 9 7/8. Plus a 7/8 in case my welds fall off. Catfish noodling, Molotov cocktail, ready for car show season. Your results may vary. Curvature of the earth. I mean, you guys don't have to rearrange your lawn ornaments to weld, you know, race car stuff. Tinfoil hat here. That's it, everybody go home. This thing came over with the Pilgrims, it's so old. Get in there amongst it. There you go, got it. He ranked it. Maybe we killed two birds with one rock. It's 100% less death. Well, good morning, welcome back. Another episode of Fixin Rusty YouTube channel. I'm your host, Rusty. We are back today on the S10, our 1988 S10. May have seen in the last episode, hopefully you watched the first few on this little guy. 6-liter LQ9 Turbo 350. We just got our first drive out of the way. She's definitely gonna need a lot of tuning. A little bit of work there, get things dialed in. Carburetor, not real wild about, but it's temporary. Today's episode, or the next few days episode, we're going to be working on this guy. This is our 8.8 out of an Explorer. Working on getting this guy swapped in to our S10, get the 7.5 out of it. So we've got some fabrication to do on the 8.8 to narrow the driver's side axle tube down to match the passenger side. We'll do the old 2-passenger side axle trick that's pretty common on these things. And what else? Oh, we got some Caltracs, I think you call them, Chinese Caltracs. We got some leaf spring perches here. We do have some new U-bolts, new lug nuts. We got some lowering blocks. We've got to get the back end of this thing out of the stratosphere. She is sitting a little proud in the back. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe at this angle it's a little hard to see, but she's about knocking on 4 inches higher in the back. So I got some 3-inch blocks there. Our leaf spring pads, those are going to be a little bit deeper than the original ones, plus a 8.8 is a little bit thicker axle housing. So all that combined should get us in the ballpark. And if we're not happy with it, we'll just lower the front a little bit. So we're going to start with that. I think first things first today, though, we need to start on the rear end and go ahead and get this thing partially disassembled. I'm not going to go too buck nasty with it and blow it to a million pieces. We just need to kind of get it bare bones. We got to get this, I don't know what that is. Something Ford came up with. Some of them have a shock on them. Some of them got a urinal cake on them. I don't know what that is. Anyways, you got to get that off. Our cables here, which we don't need park brakes where we're going. So we got to, watch that. Don't cut yourself. That's where I lop these off at the junkyard. Pull all the guts out of the back for the inner shoes. They've got shoes inside the hats for the park brakes. We'll do away with that. Kind of inspect our calipers, pads, rotors. They first look, they look pretty good, but we'll inspect those, see where we're at. Yeah, that's about it. We got to pull the axle out. I may pull the axle out of both sides since I'm in there. Go ahead and drain the differential fluid, do all that stuff. Clean it up, paint it. That's going to be all part of the process. So, yeah, hopefully this thing goes pretty well. I am not a fabricator, but I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, and I'm not afraid to do a little bit of work. I hopped on the old interwebs and got me one of those, a Yes Ma'am welder, Black Friday special, spool of wire, and I got a cord to plug into my dryer. So besides our parts, our welder, got me a Marketplace torch here too, just in case. So yeah, there's our, what fabrication job is not complete if you're not plugging it into the dryer, piss off the wife a little bit. So anyways, that's the plan for that. That's all going to be the fun down the road. So anyways, enough yakking. Let's get to work. Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. My intention is to reuse all these brake lines, brake hoses. I looked at this stuff in the junkyard. I picked one. Well, there's a few of these to pick from. By few, I mean 2. And the other one looked like it had lived most of its life down a dirt road. This one looked pretty good, pretty clean. Not a ton of wear on the brakes. Everything looked good because the goal is budget, right? So I don't have a lot of money in this rear end, and I figured the least amount of money I got to put into it on top of whatever I already have into it, better off. So I think I can shorten an axle tube, and there's enough play in this brake line. We can kind of maneuver it down, and we'll still be able to use it. That's the goal. Okay. All right. There's our brake apparatus. Anyways, it's our brakes, and they're off. If I can get a hold of them, bastards. Come on now. Oh, oh, this is going to be fun. Damn near threw my back out this morning, picking up my kiddo at school, dropping her off. She wanted one more hug before the road, and picked her up, and whew, whatever I did, my back was not happy, so I'm paying the price for it now. Man, well, we'll make do. Load it up on the ibuprofen. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. What else is new? Now this is a special table. It's a fabrication table. No, it's definitely not a fabrication table. Okay, forgot this toilet donut thing here. Damn, son. Yep. Already moving on me. Brings back memories now. I tried to take this off in the junkyard in the dirt, crawling around with hand tools. And this thing, once she got loose, I couldn't get it loose. It was just vibrating too bad with the impact. So yeah, there we go. If you don't have one of these, I recommend you get one. It's called a Extend-O-Matic extension, which is actually the jack handle off a Harbor Freight jack that I threw in the trash because it quit working after a while. But its memory lives on. And that's what's important. We preserve the life and the memory of our, beloved tools. And the good thing about having a table like this on casters is that it's on casters. And the bad thing about having a table like this on casters is that it's on casters. Come on, baby. Don't bounce on me. No, don't strip, you son of a bitch. Thought we were gonna have to get the gas axe after this one. Got it. One more for the scrap pile. Here you go. If you guys can tell me what the hell the point of that is, I'm gonna guess vibration dampening of some sort. I really don't know, but it's heavy, so it's gotta be worth like 30 cents in scrap iron. I don't know. All right, let's see if we can see what's doing behind here. I believe these just pull off. Yep, okay. Well, not really any struggle there. Okay. Just cute little brake shoes. Let me bring in here, you can see. This is kind of your standard park brake shoe. Kind of a neat little deal. I guess that's like the later model Silverados and all that stuff with them as well. So, all right, well, we got to figure out how to get this out of here. This lever off of here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull the axle. I guess pull the differential cover off, drain the fluid, and get the axle out and see what we got to do with that. So, ew. That smell never gets old, does it? There we go. Looks pretty good. Not too bad. Oh, vent. Okay. Actually looks really good. Show you guys up close. I don't see any metal in it or anything like that. Looks very clean, actually. Like it's almost been serviced, maybe. Okay. Good and clean, that's what you want. No moisture, no crap, no chunks, no runs, no drips, no errors. Now we just need to rotate our axles to find the pin that holds our cross pin in, or to find the bolt that holds our cross pin in. There we go. There she is. And I believe that's an 8mm. Let's get that, knock that out. There we go. And that might have some thread locker on it, so we might ought to remember that when we put it back together. And now that that cross pin or that bolt is out that holds the cross pin, we should be able to slide that guy out. Just put your finger in there and kind of push through the hole on one side. Push it out. Here she comes. And hopefully it doesn't completely fall apart or spider gears. It might. That's okay if it does. Just put them back in. No biggie. All right. Cross pins out. There we go. And on our axles, can't see it yet. I'm gonna go ahead and push in on the axle on this side, and you'll see the C clip here show up maybe. There we are, right there. There she goes. Okay, there's our C clip, and now I just got to fish this guy around, and then we'll turn it and let it fall out. All right, just popped our C clip out there somewhere here in the murkiness. There it is. There she is. There's your axle C clip. All right, I'll slide this guy out and see what's doing on the park brakes. Yep. Just pop it. Got her wedged in there, didn't I? There we go. Clunk. Yeah, it looks good. Bearing surface is smooth. I don't see anything crazy going on there. Cobweb in there, that's good. There's one. And now let's take a look at this park brake apparatus. Last thing I'm gonna do is put my face in front of this. Pew! There we go. That was easy, wasn't it? Just a little compression and a slide. Just a little. Give it a little whack with the hammer. There you go. I need vice grips. There we go. Now what? Oh, there's another spring in there. Okay. Well, we're just learning together here, aren't we? There's another spring. Well, how do you even get to that? What would you even do? Probably just pull on it, right? Yep. Okay. That makes sense. That wasn't too bad. There you go, a little miniature drum brake setup. I might keep that, I might get a go-kart, or I don't know. Maybe my pressure washer needs a break. I don't know. And this is the ever elusive 14mm socket, it would appear. Uh-oh. My nuts fell off. It's got these fun little captive nuts with these little arms, I guess, that keep them locked in place. I mean, I guess that's the last thing you'd want to fall off your car. So let's knock those out real quick, and should have everything loose, I think. Maybe. Ugh. Ow, did it again. Pro tip, do not put your finger in there on the back side of the nut when it starts spinning. Good thing I had gloves on. All right, and I'm gonna guess you just wallop this and it comes loose, maybe. Turns out you just kind of tap it with the hammer and it falls off. There you go. So that's all I did. All right, different cutoff. There we go. Okay, that comes apart. This just comes out. Okay. Easy enough, I guess. All right, that's it. You got your caliper bracket, your backing plate, which we'll do a little massaging on. It's not bad, straighten her out. Got it all cleaned up, got the cable cut off. We're down to our caliper bracket, backing plate. I got this guy pretty straight. Went ahead and pulled the vent tube or the vent fitting out of the rear end on that side, just to make it easier to clean and weld around. Let's see, we gotta get this side off. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on getting this one done, get it apart, do the exact same thing we did on this side. And we'll go and get the cover back on it to kind of keep some of the crud out of the ring and pinion while we're cleaning this thing. Next step really is just going to be cleaning all this junk up a little bit and getting our measurements. Well, cutting off our brackets, and we'll start getting our measurements, on where we want to cut this tube. But I'm going to go ahead and go do this. I'll be back in a bit. All right, got this other side torn apart, got everything knocked down here. We're down to, not a bare axle housing, but more or less a bare axle housing. Went ahead and popped the cover back on here to kind of make sure we keep any grinding dust and debris out of it. We need to get it cleaned up a little bit, and next thing we're gonna need to do is knock these guys off of here. This is the old sway bar brackets. We're not gonna be using those, and they're kind of in the way. Well, this side's mostly in the way where we're gonna be cutting and welding our tubes, so we'll get it off, take that one off, just clean it up. Spring perches, we'll cut those off as well. I got new spring perches to put on for that. So these will come off. And then we'll get into measuring, crawl underneath, get some measurements on the truck, measurements on the axle, and we'll start laying this guy out as to where we want it. So I guess I will get dirty. It's that time. Get on here, clean this thing up a little bit, and see if we can get these guys cut off. Yep. That's lag. There we go. Okay, 4 brackets cut off. I guess now it's just time to get to grinding. All right, let's start grinding. We got these axle tubes cleaned up, got the brackets all ground down. That was an hour of my life I'll never get back and was completely miserable. There you go. Just cleaned up. What a mess. Next step I'm gonna do is, while I got it out here, got it outside, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the wire wheel and clean it up pretty good and kind of get it presentable before we move it back in and start doing the cutting on it. That way I don't have to do that, then bring it back out here again, and try to minimize the back and forth as much as we can. So anyways, I'm gonna get to cleaning on it here, well, after lunch. Lunch is more important. Then I'll get to cleaning on it. And then we'll just keep moving forward with it and get to our cuts, and then one step closer. All right, let's blow her down and see what we got. While we're here, I suppose we ought to just go ahead and give her a coat. Yeah, getting better by the second. Well, while we're waiting on the parts in the old paint booth to dry, speaking of, I see a spot I missed to redo that. See if we can go ahead and get this thing apart. I showed you earlier, this is the old yoke that I just chopped the drive shaft off at the junkyard. Yeah. Whoa, hey, shots fired. Man down. Yeah, there you go. Okay. I use the old ball joint press where I can. I don't know, I own one, I guess. Might as well use it. Let's chrome impact socket, don't worry. Already done. That was easy. Well, I guess I got a little bit of time left today, so let's go ahead and try to get some measurements on where we want to cut this guy. I've got an expertly crafted diagram here. This would be your rear end. I'll show it to you up close later, but we kind of just need to know, okay, where our perches are going to land. So we need to know basically where the old rear end is right now. I'm just going to go into there, measure it so we can figure out center to center on center to center here. I think the way I'm going to go about it is to put the leaf spring perch on top of our weld where we weld our tube back together once we take our chunk out of it. That way we're going to have our weld in the tube, but we're going to have that saddle sitting right over it, welded on both sides. So essentially it's going to be extra supported, right? So that's the theory. But to do that, we need to know where to cut it. We need to know where we're going to put the saddles, and to know where we're going to need to put the saddles, we need to know how wide's this rear end, and we need to know how wide is the leaf spring mounts on that rear end. So we've got this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and measure him. Took a couple straight edges here, probably straight edges here. So we're going to do that way so we can get around this pumpkin here. Just kind of do whatever you got to do if you're doing one of these. And it's exactly 54 inside to inside there. And we're hoping to see the same number back here. That would be good. That would mean our straight edges are probably straight, and odds are so is our rear axle tubes. Yeah, 54, right at 54 on the inside. I mean, right on it. So we're going to call it 54 inches outside of this flange to outside of the flange. So I'm going to go ahead and write that number down. 54 outside, outside. Not two trailer park girls going around the outside. Let me get the creeper, crawl underneath this thing. Perfect chance to do it since the ass end's so high off the ground and there's no bumper on it. And measure across these leaf springs and see where we're at. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure outside to outside on a leaf spring, subtract the width of the leaf spring, figure the difference, come up with some numbers, and then mark it down, something like that. All right, so we got 54 outside to outside. I came up with 38 1/4, looked online, surprisingly got a million different answers, but I did see somebody who did say 38 1/4 in one place, which confirmed. And even if I'm off a little bit, right now it doesn't matter. We're not locking in where we're putting our leaf spring perches. We're just locking in where we want the cut, which is in the middle of where we're going to put a leaf spring perch, and it's a 2.5 wide perch. So you got a little bit of leeway. It doesn't have to be exact right here. So 54 minus 38 1/4. What is that? That's 16, 15 3/4 difference. It'd be a 7.5 plus a 3/8, so that'd be a 7 and a 7/8. Off of the outside of this flange to each side should on paper be where the center of our leaf spring perch is. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that, and then just kind of take a couple measurements off that, eyeball it, see if it looks right, and then we'll know. So this one would be the 7 7/8 off of this flange. I said we're going to measure it off the flanges. We're not. This one, it's not going to be that off of this flange because this is the one we got to cut down. This one, yes. So in theory, we could just subtract our 15 3/4 off of our number here for 38 1/4. Come off here, 38 1/4. Mark that one, and it should be good to go. So I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll put the old eyeball on it, see where it ends up, and usually just put the eyeball on it, and that kind of gives you an idea if you're right or not. The best thing to do, and if you do put the eyeball on it, and you step back, and then you go, holy shit, that looks wrong. There's a good chance it's wrong. Shake, shake, shake your maraca, shake, shake, shake your maraca, shake, shake, shake your maraca. Hey! Okay, and put a dauber right in there. Close my good eye. No, first one was better. Anyways, 7 7/8 will erase that. Okay, so we're cutting 2 7/8 off this. We can go through a whole rigmarole process, blah, blah, blah. The answer is we're cutting 2 7/8 off this axle tube because this has been done a million times and that's what everybody does. And if you go measure the difference in the long axle and the short axle, it's 2 7/8. I know the tube may not exactly 2 7/8. So actually what we could just do, I guess, is from here, just add 2 7/8 to 7 7/8. So 7 7/8, 2 7/8, that's 7/8, 9 7/8 plus the 7/8 puts us at 10 3/4. Did I do that right? Tell me if I didn't. I'm serious. Did that real quick in my head. I don't know if that's right. But I'm gonna use the eyeball to tell. Okay, 10 3/4. Son of a bitch goes right there, ish. Sure. Okay. Well, what do we got from our axle tube to axle tube? About 9.5, maybe a tickle under, and 9.5 or a tickle under. I think I might have got it right. I probably took the long way around. It's probably some way I could have measured and subtracted here, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that it's right, not how you arrived at it being correct. You know, I used to always have that problem in school. I was terrible at algebra. But I could get pretty damn close all the time. I may not get it exactly right, but I could get pretty damn close just because in my head I could look at it and be like, I know, I'm pretty damn close what that should be. And I'd always have to show my work, and I don't know, I just did it in my head. Just got it close. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is, but I get pretty close. And if it was horseshoes or hand grenades, that close was good enough. Good morning and welcome back. Day 2 on the 8.8 Caltrac swap for our 1988 S10 LS-swapped S10. Okay, what we got today? We got some new tape marks. I did this yesterday as we left off. Well, I changed my mind and I moved them. And I'll tell you why. Let me show you some numbers here first though. When I had calculated and figured out the total width, the 54 inches here, that was correct, but that didn't account for where we ultimately would end up, which was after removing our 2 7/8. So when I set these marks here on where to cut, it would have worked out fine. It would have been correct, but it would have put this cut mark here outside of where we wanted our leaf spring saddle to sit. We want it to sit dead center when we weld it on, essentially like that, to where this is where we're going to end up welding. We're going to cut here, slide this in, weld right back here, centered up with the saddle. That way we've got these two welds, this weld seam here and this weld seam here, kind of as a bridge or a brace to support this. And we're not welding again right on top of where we just welded, essentially. But in doing that, I didn't account for the 2 7/8 when I measured this first. So it was too far in. The cut would have been, actually right on this mark right here, which has been not ideal. So what I had to do is figure that in, take that out, and readjust our distances for where we want to put our saddle. So I kind of worked off this side because this side is what it's going to be. What you end up with is 38 1/4 is still our split on how wide our springs are, center to center. Our new axle width is going to be 51 1/8 outside flange to outside flange once we take out the amount we're going to cut out, the 2 7/8. So we've got our 51 1/8 minus our 38 1/4. We come up with 12 7/8, and divided by 2, 6 point blah blah blah. 6 7/16 is what you end up with from outside flange to the center of the mounting point is ultimately where you're going to land. 6 7/16 in from this flange here to the center of your saddle. Well, if you're going to measure outside to the center of the saddle here, you got to factor in your distance you're going to cut out, which is 2 7/8. So I did that. So and ultimately 9 5/16 is where you land if you're measuring from here to here, actually underneath here, where to cut. And then you just mark your 2 7/8 off of that. But that's what we want. Now to cross-reference that, here we go. Now we're back in algebra class. I went from here, measured from this housing to what I ended up with here, and do the same thing over here to our mark here, and they were the same, which tells me we're good to go. Then that ultimately put us where we wanted, which was at 6 7/16. And then last step I did, I set these guys up here just kind of as a visual. You know, put the eyeballers on it, wherever that was. And then measured across the two, and it was 38 1/4. Looks right, looks good. We got more over here than we need, so we should, which is gonna add up. So, long story long, I changed it. And we're gonna lop that off now and see if we can't get that welded back on. And we should be right on the money. Our weld seam should end up right under this saddle. So we've got a nice little bridge there to support it, you know, in case my welds fall off. What could go wrong? So I'm gonna get set up and let's start chopping. Shirt's like some kind of synthetic material, I think. I'd probably burst into flames if I get too many sparks on this thing. So anyways, I forgot to put a reference mark too, so I just took a straight edge, said straight edge, laid it across here, eyeballed at 90 degrees, put a reference mark here, so I can go ahead and put a little grinder mark on each side. And then when we cut this off, we can just line up our little grinder marks to keep this flange clocked so we don't end up with the, you know, goofiness there, or have to try to figure it out. And because I'm left-handed, I'd rather cut it on this side so I can see this side of the blade. So that's what we're gonna do. All right, there's one. As my camera's going bananas for some reason. Okay, we're repositioned. Got that one cut off. Got the broomstick out of here. Just jammed the new fire hazard up in this axle tube. And let's see if we can get the second one cut off without too much fanfare. Got it. Just like that. You too can ruin an axle housing or shorten one, either way. All right, back from lunch. Got this guy set up with our C-channel here with our jig. Got our marks lined up there, if you can see that on the bottom here. And looks pretty dang square to start. Shine a little light through the split here, and there's just not a whole lot going on. So it looks like our cut is pretty dang straight. Looked at this side too, and I mean, it is very little there. Looks good. Go ahead and measure here. I think we were what, 17 3/8, I believe, outside of the axle tube. Yep, this one is just, I mean, maybe just a tick shy of it, right at 17 3/8. So let's check our side here. Pardon the roaring in the background if you hear it. That's the old Flame King. Flame broiling our way to a little heat in here. You know, it gets much below 70 around here. We don't know how to act, so that's what's going on there. We are 17 3/8 plus a mark, so 16th over. What is that, 17 3/8, 7/16? So we are close on that part. Let's try this side. Yep, 16th over there. Close there, real close. And, oh, there we go, yeah. 16th over, so we need to take off. Looks to be pretty square. One other thing we can do to check if it's square, let's grab an axle and see if it'll slide in. We got our, I'm gonna get my ankles burned off over here. Oh, towel up in there, that's right. Anyhow, now that I just jammed a towel all the way up into the third member, good thing I have a pair of compound needle nose pliers to grab that with. Can we get it? Grab it. Hang on. Grab both of them. Ah, got it. Yeah. Got them both. It's like catfish noodling. We got it though. All right, went a few rounds, probably did 3 or 4 rounds with the flap disc on the outside piece and got it clocked here, lined up. It is measuring 17 3/8. I measured about 3 different places around here where I can get the tape, and we seem to be on the money. And I think we're good to try the axle. This is of course, this is what we're going for, right? The axle's got to go in the rear end. If it doesn't, then you got a problem. So, okay, I mean it. See, falls in. Very minimal effort. She's in there, splined up. Feels fine, feels good. Nice and easy to slide in and out one-handed and not having to force anything. So that should be good. I think we are where we need to be. I'm gonna go ahead and take our jig apart here, bevel the edge on both of these, give them a good, good spot there. Then we'll get the old Black Friday welder set up and see if we can make a mess out of it. Now's a good time to go ahead and take your breaker bar extension / jack handle and make yourself some kind of Molotov cocktail. Try not to get this rag stuck in there again. It's just like cleaning out the toilet, get one hung up in there. Sometimes you gotta fish it out. Go ahead and tack her in. Good morning. Welcome back to the backyard welding studio. As you can see, we are no longer in the garage. We're actually on my back porch where we do all the serious welding because it's closest to the dryer plug. And I don't have 220 in the garage, so we kind of got to put the cats away and then run the cord. And so here we are. But I tacked this together last night. Just need to get this welded on. Got the Black Friday special here ready to go. I'm going to do this quadrant here, and then we'll kind of roll it around and then do this back side, and then we'll take the clamps off of it and then do the rest of it. Got my test piece here, did a few things, got the recommended settings, I think. I don't know, see if we can burn a hole through it. What's the worst that could happen? Probably burn a hole through it. All right, I guess I'll go ahead and measure it now that it's too late. 17 3/8 on the money right there. On the money, 17 3/8 there. Haven't even started a fire yet. There's still time. All right, I think it's welded. Let's go ahead and measure it again. Right on it, 17 3/8. Axle slides in and out by hand. I think we're good. All right, we got it done, ground down, cleaned up. Final product, it looks good, so we should be good to go there. Just need to get on those saddles and get this stuff cleaned up, get this fit, and get those on. KYB gas adjust. They're nice shocks. Let's see if they're any good. Hopefully they are. Okay, got that one. Okay. And last but not least is our brake hose. And I could plug this guy, or I could just cut it off. Something like that. And I have a special brake fluid retaining plug here, self-tapper. I think that'll work for that. Yep. Okay. So those just fall out. There we go. That's how you remove rear end from an S10 in about 15 minutes. Okay, let's see if we can get these little aluminum guys pressed in here. I'm assuming that's what this lube is for. Put a little on there, give it a shot maybe. Drop it in the dirt, roll it around, Wipe all that off, start over. Beat the piss out of it till it goes in. They weren't kidding, these are tight. Okay, I'm gonna have to get something a little more serious here. All right, you get the premise. Well, we got it. Made some firewood in the process, but we got it. And I got it all the way down to the end with the wood and then just found a socket. To be precise, let's see, 27 millimeter. And just got it that last little bit. And she's in there, bushing somewhere over there, but it fits in there. And that's it. So now we got to get on to the other side, get that one done, and then get these leaf springs painted up and be ready to put them back in. Well, I think it's quitting time for today, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up and give you one final update, kind of show you where we're at. Leaf springs are completely restored and rebuilt and ready for, ready for car show season. We got the new bushings, steel solid bushings pressed in here, custom made pin here. Everything else is pretty good. The old bushings are, they've seen better days, but I've seen way worse, so there's that. Last little thing we got here, got to working on was grinding the bump stops off of the frame. Ow. And gave myself a big old blood blister on my thumb somehow. But yeah, I cut this one off, went pretty easy. I just used the cutoff wheel and kind of cut through here and then across the bottom there, and then just grabbed it with, kind of cut it into thirds and then grabbed it with a crescent wrench, kind of snapped it off and knocked it off. And then we'll just, tomorrow morning, I'll get under here with the flap wheel, clean that up, and get on the other side, do the same thing tomorrow. And we'll get in here, paint our wheelhouses, paint our frame rails. And I think that's everything needed to go ahead and get the rear end ready to put in and start mocking it up for our leaf spring mounts, leaf spring saddles. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for today. So yeah, it's time for dinner. See you guys tomorrow. Good morning. We're back on the 8.8. Left off yesterday. We were grinding on a frame rail here, getting that cleaned up. So I think I'm going to jump in on the other side, get the same thing, go ahead and get it chopped off. I'll show you the other side, kind of how I'm doing it. I'm using the cutoff wheel instead of the torch on this, just kind of because the way it folds up and overlaps against the frame. I feel like it's easier to not gouge into the frame with the torch and all that stuff, just using the, using the old standard death wheel. So that worked pretty good on this side. I'll kind of show you what I did on the other side and where I cut it. So let's go ahead and get set up, get over there, get that deal done. Pardon the noise, I got the Flame King fired up here again this morning. It's a little brisk outside, and by brisk I mean it's about 48, 50 degrees here, which is, might as well be below zero for San Antonio. So anyways, let's get set up, get over to the other side, and we'll start chopping. Here's sort of a rough outline of what we're doing. I just took the death wheel and just kind of cut it along here just below the edge of the frame, just to give yourself a little bit of a lip, kind of come along here, and then this little bracket just kind of ends there on the frame, and the weld actually stops. I don't know if you can see that, but the weld stops right here, so you just really got to cut it to right there, and then it's free. And then you just have this little piece here to knock off the frame, and it's more or less the same on the front. I just cut it along this one here, and then you just kind of cut it right across there, and then get on the back side. There's a big lip here, and just knock the hell out of it with 3-pound sledge, and the whole thing will flip off and come off. And then once you have that big chunk off, I just came back in here, kind of put a little slit here, here, and here, and you've got smaller sections, and you can just grab it with a crescent wrench or pliers, or jam a chisel in there and between the frame and work it out. And then you can just kind of work that back and forth till you snap it off, and you should get pretty close to having more or less just the weld left to clean up. And that worked pretty good. Had a little bit of a fight with this little piece on the other side, but your results may vary, but that didn't work out too bad. There you go. And you get something like that. And just do that a few times, grind it up, clean it up. That's about it. Undercarriage restoration process is complete. Let's get in here and take a look at it. I'll show you what I did. Look how good the frame rails turned out after grinding and cleaning all those up. I mean, look really nice. It cleaned up really good. And I don't know if you can tell or not, but I went ahead and did a frame off restoration in the last 30 minutes. With the old spit shine on her, got her restored all the way past the spring purchase, more or less, so that I can do we'll restore the middle of the frame at a later date. But at least we got all this done now so we can get the rear end in it. Oh, and our old leaf spring hangers, they're now sliding shackles. So I backed the bolts off just enough to where these will move freely without rattling and making a bunch of noise. Same on that side, it was bound up tight. So I don't have sliders for this thing right now, but that should allow them to move and articulate as we need to. But it looks pretty good under here. I tried not to paint the bottom of the bed too bad. You know, it's not like I spent much time on it. There's the masking right there. But anyways, it looks good enough for who it's for and what we plan to do with it. All right, update. We got the leaf spring started in the front. Went ahead and got the, you know, our homemade super stock springs here. I got one clamp on them here to keep these guys from flexing. Kind of a homemade split monoleaf, I guess, if you will. I may put another one right here to help even more. I've got 2 more clamps. Kind of wait and see. Do some research maybe. Might do that, I don't know. But front half of our Caltrac Chinese Caltracs are in. Went together really good, no big deal, nothing to it. You saw the bushings going yesterday. You just slide the inner sleeve in it, put it up in here, tighten this down. You tighten it down all the way because the inner sleeve is what keeps the gap and keeps it from getting bound up. So this stuff's all really free. So we should have leaf springs that work like they're supposed to. Preliminary setup, we got our axle in here. We got our blocks and our saddle sort of situated. And I just roughly put those in. And we're right about 5 inches or so from the flange to the inside of that saddle. So that's a convenient number maybe to remember. Our Caltracs here are sitting on the, maybe I should just call these our traction bars, are sitting on the thingy, stopper thing. And right now I just have the jack under it just to hold it. Next trick is going to be getting these plates and U-bolts together. I went ahead and checked these. They do have dual patterns, so they're slotted, so they do appear like they'll fit the U-bolts for the 3 1/4 rear end. And these are just the Calvert 9-inch long U-bolts that they sell. It's kind of hard to find 3 1/4 U-bolts. 99% of them you find are for 3-inch axles, which is most common. But these Fords use the 3 1/4, so the 3-inch will not work. So. But I think these are going to be right. China has perfected the copy on these, it looks like. So let's see if we can get them in though and see if they're actually going to fit or how much cussing I'm going to have to do to try to make this work so we can get this pinion angle set. Okay, there's one started. Let's get these guys started and I think we can finagle that other one on there. Is finagle a word? Just thinking about that. Or is that only a word in the South or Southwest? I guess I'm not really from the South. I wouldn't call Oklahoma the South. I don't know what it is. It's not the Midwest. It's not the South. It's not the West. I don't know what it is. It's Oklahoma. Man, oh man, looking good. This thing is under its own weight. Everything is not tight, but it's just kind of snug with the ratchet, snug enough. I measured off of here, up off the body line, took a straight edge and put it on here, and then with the tape measure, ran it up to our body line. And this body line is, I think I've measured about 1/4 inch or so higher than the body line on the fender because of the, because of how accurate the gaps are. And then measured it here and then added the half of this width to get to our center line. And I think from there to there, compared to the front is, I want to say it's like maybe a 1/2 inch, 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch more than the front. So we should be pretty close. That should get her, get the back end out of the air. We want more Daytona. We're not looking short track. We want like the Daytona. You got to get the tail end, get your spoiler out of the wind, if you want to go fast. Morning. Been a few days, but we're back on the S10. I had some family in town and middle under the weather, and also waiting on a drive shaft. So we got the drive shaft back from the shop this morning. This is I've already got the new, well, say the Ford yoke put on with the I think the internet termed it, air quotes, the bastard U-joint. That's on. They went ahead and put a new one, a new Spicer XL in the front for me too, while it was at the drive shaft shop. We did have to the rear end, she scooched up, scooched up a little bit towards the front there. I think with the lowering blocks and the way the curvature of the curvature of the spring does its thing. And maybe the pumpkin, I don't know if it's any longer than a 7.5 GM, probably. Whatever it was, we ended up having to take about an inch or a little over an inch out of the drive shaft to get it to fit. So that's where we left off. I got it back now. We'll get that put in. I need that because I need to know what the drive shaft angle is so I can set the pinion angle and final weld the spring perches on. It's in the ballpark. I've kind of done all I can to get the transmission as flat as we can. It's got a pretty good, rake to it, to the back, but it is what it is. It's just what happens when you cram a V8 in one of these things. It's just kind of how it worked out. I can't really get it any more level and get the exhaust, the headers to clear the firewall and all that mess, but it will work. I probably won't get too much into the geometry on this because there's a million different thought processes on it. We're trying to simulate under load pinion angle, essentially, not cruising pinion angle. So, depending on which school of thought you're on, that's where we're kind of trying to hit all those numbers about in the middle, about the best we can, get the best of both worlds. So anyways, I'm going to get back to it, crawl underneath this pig and see if we can get this drive shaft in, take a few measurements, make sure I've got this rear end squared, centered, all that. We'll tack it in, we'll take it out, we'll haul it back over to the house out in the yard where we can get to the dryer vent. The dryer plug, you know what I mean. You saw me do this already. And get this thing welded up, put a final coat of paint on it, get it put in. So that's it. Let's get to it. We need a welding montage. A welding montage. Ooh, I'm welding my life away. Yeah. Well, blood was shed, but it's out. Brake line clamp stabbed me in the hand, but no big deal. Watch the truck, watch the truck. It's worth way more than this rear end. Lower back, lower back, lower back. Okay. Back in the outdoor welding studio. Let's go ahead and see if we can dirt dauber these together. Wish me luck. Should I get a light? I should probably get a light. Let's get a light. Come on, ma'am, out of the way, lady. I mean, you guys don't have to rearrange your lawn ornaments to weld. I know some of you do. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That was close. I guess buckets don't make good jack stands. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up. I'll be back in a little bit. Got to weld that one up, and I guess we need to put a bead on these axle housings too. So let's get this done so we can get it painted up. Finished product, not too bad. You kind of see those welds there. Not terrible. Those are not really as critical. That's kind of a nice to have. But our perches, they're in there, welded. They're on, they're installed. That'll work. You can do this stuff at home if you want to, if you got a little bit of ingenuity. But anyways, I'm happy with it. Turned out good. It's definitely burned in. We're out in the wind doing this on my back porch, so it's not that terrible if you have a little bit of knowledge and a dryer outlet. I think it's time to paint and reassemble. That sounds like a lot more fun. at this point. It's always nice seeing shiny new parts go back together. I'm just gonna hit her with a liberal amount of prep solvent here. Wasp spray, brake clean, antiseptic, mouthwash. I think it does it all. Perfect. Ready to paint. Yeah, that's gonna look good. I'm just gotta put the money maker on it here. Multiple light coats. Man, that's a good looking rear end. Let's go ahead and get our caliper bracket here and our dust cover here. I ditched all the emergency brake stuff. So there's normally like a rod that comes through here and a gasket and some other kind of garbage. I don't even know. If you're gonna use all that, knock yourself out, but this isn't the place to figure out how it goes back together because I'm ditching it. I'm sure there's a way you could work it in with the factory brake setup on these, the factory e-brake setup on these, I should say. But I deleted all that, you know, race car stuff, because I'm looking to go fast, Ricky Bobby. Pretty flat here in Texas too. I mean, the only time I use the parking brakes on a manual transmission around here. We never use them. We never use them. These are those weird nuts that they have a little tab on the edge of them. I don't know if you can kind of get a gander on that guy. That tab swings around, hits the rear end housing, and just holds it. It's kind of handy because all you got to do is buzz them off on this side, and the nut does all the work on the back side with these ears. Thread it through here, get it started, and let it eat. I think that's probably the torque spec. And this is our second passenger side axle. Let's see if she still slides in like she did before. Like butter. Axle's in, and I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not quite, but we need to push this axle a little bit more to get the C-clip in. There you go. That looks pretty close to how the other side was. So C-clip, just slide it right in there. There it goes. Pull it out. And there it goes. Now we need to spin this guy to find our drilled side, which is this side over here. Oh, our rotor's loose on that side. Be careful, don't fall off. Cross pin goes in, find your hole, and line it up. Good luck in there, bud. All right, I went and talked to the internet, and the internet says blue Loctite. So I knew there was a thread locker on it. I just never really used it. So we'll just put a dauber on there, and that way we got our bases covered, just in case. Just in cases. This is a 5/16, and I think also an 8mm. Y'all keeping score at home. Now, can we get on there? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay. And I'll come back and tighten that once I get the drive shaft in it and before we put the diff cover on there. Remind me, don't let me forget. That's kind of an important one. Let's just see how close we are, I guess. Side to side. Kind of curious. To the back of that axle's 1.5 inches, maybe just a frog hair over it, but 1.5 inches. And let's go check the other side. I measured off that front little bulge. Okay, and that is right at 1.5 inches also. So if we're off, it's a 1/16, maybe. So I feel pretty good about that. Another thing to look at is you can kind of see on that axle, just starts to see a little bit of shininess right up where that seal is, to tell where it was, you know, where it was riding before. Seems to be where it's riding now. And we got ever so slight bit of play there. Let's compare to this side. Yep. Go ahead and pretty this up a little bit. You can't have a ugly, crusty axle hub sticking out when everything else is painted. Don't just paint, give it the Krylon touch. Okay, let's see if we can get the brakes sorted out. I took all this off as one assembly with the calipers, the steel brake line, the hoses, the whole deal, because I'm reusing it all. It all looks good, inspected, the hoses look good. Brake line, nothing wrong with that, nothing corroded. Pads probably have 50% life left. What rotors? They got a little bit of wear, but they're not bad. So we'll run them. We'll run them for now. Ooh, on my elbow pop. That's how you know you're there. Okay. All right, last update of the night, I think, if I'm gonna call it. We got all the brake components in, and as you can see, the hard line worked fine. Just have to, you know, work your kinks a little bit here and here to kind of make up since you took 3 inches out. But it worked out fine. It came out kind of where the factory did. One thing I do want to do, but I am out of welding gas right now. We ran out on this last weld on the housing. I could come back in here and weld a little tab off the back of the saddle here and run it up, drill a hole in it and tap it and drive this guy right here. You could weld that, but this is actually part of the brake hose, so it's not really ideal if you got to replace a brake hose. But you could just weld a little tab on there, drill and tap that, and then screw it right in. Work good. Same deal over here. It lines up perfect. I mean, you can get it to line right up on that saddle, and it would man, it'd be freaking awesome. This thing is like, it's almost like it's made for this truck. It's pretty wild. There's our vent. Got to run our vent hose there still. Oh, here's our upper hose. I mean, I got an adapter here. This is a here. I wrote this on here a while ago, so I wouldn't forget. S10 to 8.8 rear brake lines. Let's see. 785, 434, D as in Delta, Dorman. And it is I know you're going to ask, 1/4 by 3/16 brake line adapter. There you go. 785, 434D. That's what you need if you got at least a first gen S10. I don't know about second gen, if it's the same or not. It probably is, but. And the brake hose on these Explorers, there's like this little E-clip guy here holding this in. There's a groove on top too that if you had another one of these, it would clip in here perfect, like in the bracket and everything. It would be, I mean, literally like it's made for this truck. Anyways, I think it's enough for today, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Good morning, welcome back. This should be the last day, I think, to get this 8.8 wrapped up. I say 8.8, we did 8.8 narrowing, rear end swap, install our traction bars. We lowered it. What else do? We restored the frame rails. We installed homemade sliders in the back. Got a brake vent, whole new rebuilt brakes. We're gonna do the frame rails too here. And I got some new bed braces put in. So I actually kind of got carried away as usual. Right now I'm working on getting the diff cover here. Got it cleaned up and working on getting some gasket maker on, or not gasket maker, some RTV on here, and get this installed so we can fill this rear end back up with whatever I got on the shelf. I think I got 80/90 or something, but I got some limited slip additives, so don't worry. And then we'll get this thing on the ground, kind of see how it sits. Oh, I've got some new wheels and tires for it also, so we'll check that out. I want to kind of see the stance on it too once we get this done. And do we need to lower the front? That's the question. Just did some preliminary measurements, and it's going to be a little bit above level in the back. We just got a very, very slight rake, but I have not, obviously, have not seen this thing sitting on the ground to know kind of how it's going to settle and how it's going to look. So that'll be interesting to see if we need to take a little bit out of the front to kind of make it look better. If so, we can maybe, you know, lop a little bit off the front coil spring. I don't think I'm going to heat them. That's not my go-to, but I'm not above pulling them out and cutting some off the spring and putting them back in. Final push. Let's get it done. I'm anxious to see this thing on the ground and see what it looks like. Here's my homemade slider setup. These are all loose on these shackles, as you can see, and I just double nutted them all. We had the leftover hardware from the old U-bolts, so I figured, well, I don't have any metric lock nuts, whatever these are, so I just jam nutted them. Same thing on the back side here. So these shackles are nice and free and they'll move easy, so I don't know. New shocks are drying in the paint booth. These are good ones, KYB gas adjust, and they tested fine, nothing wrong with them, so I just, you know, we'll give them a coat of paint here in the IKEA sponsored paint booth. Get you one of these if you don't have one. It's just a clothes rack from IKEA. I bought it several years ago, like 10 bucks or something. Some heavy wire, make you some hooks. There you go, instant paint booth. Well, if you've made it this far in the video, you probably remember the part where I said, don't let me forget to tighten the bolt that holds the cross pin in before we put the diff cover on. I forgot to tighten the bolt that holds the cross pin in before I put the diff cover on. Last thing I need is the axles coming out. So I guess we're gonna take this off and hope the silicone, the RTV, hasn't set up too bad. Oh, got it. That's better. Okay, tight. Now I'm not worried about it. Close. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, well, let's see if we can get some gear oil in this thing. For this, I've got a precise blend of about 1/4 quart of Valvoline 8090, most of a quart of Master Pro 8090, and limited slip lube guard supplement. And that probably won't be enough. I think I got about 3 quarts of Walmart gear oil over there. Whatever, Lube Pro Tech or whatever the hell they call it. And the capacity on these, your guess is as good as mine. If you ask the internet will tell you anywhere from 2 1/4 to 3.6 quarts, so I don't know. So I'm just gonna put the limited slip modifier, I guess, in there first, and then we'll kind of go from there. Actually, I think this might be easier if I'm gonna squeeze this limited slip additive into this jug, and then we'll put the whole thing in. I think that'll be a good idea. That sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? Is that a good idea, y'all know? And it says this stuff treats. This stuff is, one of these bottles is good for up to 2 quarts, so it should be close. I got 2 of them just in case, but we'll start there. I've seen those squeezy bags. Those are pretty cool, but man, they're pricey. I think $20 for a quart of differential fluid in a bag. No thanks. There we go. Now we're getting to it. All right, there's 1.5 quarts. Let's go grab some more. This is the other stuff I was talking about. Super Tech, that's right. A lot cheaper buying it by the gallon at Walmart, that's for sure. All right, last of it, hopefully. I went ahead and put a second bottle of the limited slip modifier in. Damn it, she's thirsty. There it goes. There it goes. Okay, finally. All right, that one's done. Last one, hammer it home. One more, good measure. One to grow on. Okay, good enough. All right. I think our shocks are done. Let's see if we can figure out these bars. I've already got these started. One's a left-hand thread, one's a right-hand thread. That way when you turn the bar, you either tighten or loosen the whole thing. And then you try to get the Chinese nut on there without cross-threading. You fail at that. And then you get the impact and you just hammer it on. That's all you need. Anyways, you get the point. We'll go back to that. This has got a couple washers, same deal. The washers go on the outsides. A couple of these funny cone-shaped shims. The cones go in so that the heim joint can work. And I'm not adjusting these yet. I'm just gonna leave these loose for now. Because really you're supposed to adjust these bars, it says, with driver in it, fuel, whatever your, whatever race situation is. So we get it kind of in the ballpark here. There we go. All right. Make sure we got pivot motion. Yep, more or less. That would be loosening, and back towards you would be tightening. Another thing it says is to set the bar initially most parallel to the ground, which in this case is the lowest hole. Anyhow, I'm gonna do the other side real quick, get it together. Like I said, just dummy it up here loosely, and then it's time to get the wheels and tires on it. Yeah. I've been fighting here for a little while trying to get a bleeder out of this left rear caliper. We're down to the last steps to bleed the brakes and have this done, and that sucker was stuck. It took a few rounds of heat and PB blaster to get it to break up. Got my tinfoil hat here to protect the boot. That worked okay. I looked at buying a new caliper, and these things are expensive at O'Reilly. They're like 70 or 80 bucks. No? Not paying that over a stuck bleeder if I can avoid it. I have a new bleeder. I got a universal kit. I got the right bleeder. Just need to get the old one out. I think I won the battle. Finally, brakes have been bled. We used our vacuum bleeder tool. Pumped a good bit through it. Looks to be flowing good on both sides. So let's go ahead and check them. And hope for the best. See what we got. Feels like a good pedal. Yeah, looks like you can kind of see the rotor move a little. Is that a leak? Yep, got a drip. Dang it. Okay. Let's take a look at that, see what's going on. Man. Okay, we're good now. Turns out it was the bleeder, it was not the hose, although the hose was not terribly tight. Cranked it down pretty good, and then the bleeder was tight, but I cranked it down pretty hard, tight, and that fixed it. It was kind of seeping out of the fitting and dripping down on the hose and kind of made it look like it was coming out of the hose. But anyways, I think we're good on the brakes. We got good pedal, really good pedal. I think it's time to get the wheels and tires on this deal and get it back down on the ground, finally. And let's see some stance. Let's see what it looks like. And here we go. New wheels, at least on the rear. We're keeping the same on the front. But let's see how they look, and I'll explain what they are and kind of what we're doing here shortly. Let's see how the fit is now. Okay, they do fit. I haven't sprung for new lug nuts on this deal, only because the ones off the stock rear end don't fit. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's give honor the old jounce. All right, that's it. Everybody go home. No, just kidding. What I'm thinking here is I need to do some measurements, but to me the front looks a little bit high, just a touch. Now, when I had measured it on the stand, it actually had measured that the rear was like ½ an inch higher, but maybe it's just a visual thing. These gaps are not exactly the same between the wheel arches and the body lines. I was measuring from the body line down. This one is slightly higher. I took that into account, but I don't know. It just looks to me like It's a little nose high, just a touch. Anyways, let's get to the rest of the combination, and then I will get the tape measure out. We'll measure it and see what we got, but I got something pretty cool to finish these off, and I'll kind of give you an idea of what that is here. Well, I was looking at our hubcap situation and thinking I got to clean these up, kind of make them look a little better. You know, just spit shine them some. And then I had this one. You know, this is definitely a right rear here. You always put the worst looking curved up wheel, hubcap, missing hubcap, offset, funny, goofy, whatever you got on the right rear, you know, because you never see it. So I was like, well, this is a right rear. I can straighten it out and work with it. Well, this happened to be poking around on the internet on eBay, and look what I found. These are a set of, they're not NOS technically, but they were taken off a truck in 1986 and stashed away, and they've been there ever since. Here's a sticker, May 19th, 86. So I got these bad boys, picked these up for $100 for the whole set. So I figured, shoot, I can't go wrong with that. So we're gonna get these ugly ones popped off, get these on, and we'll see what the truck looks like then. So, and what I didn't mention, on our wheel and tire setup on the rear, these are wheel Ventiques 15 by 8s on the back. They're the Ford GM style, I think Series 62. So they've got the nubs on here to accept the 10 1/4 dog dish style, GM style hubcaps. And of course, 295 50/15s on it. Went white letters in, I know, can be controversial, but I kind of wanted a little more of a stealthy look on this one. What I'm probably the least not thrilled about is how far the tire sticks out. And there's a couple reasons why that is, and it's not terrible, and I'll show you something I got for that too. These wheels, they don't make them in any different offsets. You can get it in a 4 1/4 offset. Ideally with a 15 by 8, I think you want like a 4 1/2 on these, but you could go, there's plenty of room inside. You could go another inch of offset on these, no problem, and it would have been better situation, but we're getting into custom wheels, a lot more money. It's kind of getting hard to find places that'll even do it anymore. Nobody wants to do that on these steel wheels or really any wheels. So I got an off-the-shelf wheel that I could actually get. We could have narrowed the rear end more. I knew that. These are still 2 inches wider than the S10 rear end, even in this configuration once we cut it down. You can, I mean, we could have cut it down another inch on each side, but I would have axles made, custom axles made, and we're probably, I don't know, we're probably $500–600 into it for axles to be made. You know, if money was not an issue on it and I wasn't trying to do this on a budget, I would have probably narrowed both sides, narrowed it down, had custom axles done, and we would have sucked these in right up to the frame and they'd have fit nice and tight. But it's not that big of a deal. And I'll show you one thing I did snag in my junkyard adventures here the other day. Oh, we got another grill. I'll talk about that in a minute. But scored a set of fender moldings from a Blazer, and these are good for about an inch or so wider, and they also make the truck look a little bit lower. They drop down about an inch, so they help fill the wheel wells out a little bit better. So we got to clean these up, obviously. My idea is we're going to paint these body color, so these will end up metallic blue, same color as the truck, and I've got some other stuff for that too. Went ahead and picked up this grill. This is a one-piece, what do you call it? I think it's off the later ones, like the Tahoes or whatever. I think the fancier ones, I don't know. But I kind of dig on the paint to match look. So I'm gonna go with something like that. We'll see. There you go. Get the old visual representation. But I think that'll look good. We'll paint that blue also. So I think that'll look good. The flares though will help. We'll get the flares on there in the back. We'll have to do a little bit of modification on them. Those are off of a Blazer. They're pretty tough to find off of a truck. Fronts are exactly the same. The rear are a little bit different. They have a little, I think it's right here. No, it's the front. Maybe it's the front. Maybe a little bit shorter on a Blazer. So we're gonna have to do a little trimming on it, but I think I can make it work and it'll fit good. And that'll help bring this out a little bit and down kind of fill that gap. So the truck will look lower, and we'll have a little bit to kind of cover this tire so it doesn't look like it's sticking out so much. But I'm gonna get those hubcaps and let's see if we can get those guys on and see what it looks like. Hey-o. Did it to me again. Yeah, these are just a little bit beat. Yeah, that looks better already. Shining like a diamond in a goat's, you know what. Yeah, that's gonna look sharp. Much better. I measured the front about 35 1/4 to the top of the body line. And we're measuring maybe a little over 36 1/4. This body line's a little high, as you may notice. It's probably a good 1/4 to 3/8 inch higher than that one. So we'll call it 36 1/4, 35 1/4, so 1 inch. It just doesn't look like it. I measured this wheel opening here to here, and it's 1 inch higher on the front. So that's part of our problem. 11 1/8, 11 1/8, exactly. Okay, so the rocker says it pretty much sits level. So that may be what's throwing my eye off. Truck's sitting level, but the fender gap is slightly bigger in the front than it is in the rear. So we need to lower the front. I think that's where we're at. But it won't be a big deal. We'll just do a little nip and tuck there on a coil spring and get it dropped down. I don't want to go very far. 2 inches max, maybe even an inch if I can get away, if I can figure out how to cut a coil only an inch. Welcome back. You join me knee deep in the action here. Let me show you what I didn't do. I made a mess out of the dash. I decided I wanted turn signal indicators because I didn't have any because I didn't hook the dash up. So I pulled this back in, put it back in its socket here to plug the kind of cluster pushes into that, just to figure, hey, if I just get the turn signals out of the cluster to work, that'll be fine. Well, it didn't work, of course. So I've been over here pulling bulbs out and just looking at this mess, and got my power probe out. So needless to say, every one of them looks something like that. Black mostly. And check continuity across all these things. Nope. They use these little freaking tiny, I can't even see it. I can't even see the filaments on it, but I'm trying to check these for continuity, get nothing. Check across the socket, nothing. I think I got bad bulbs. I checked the side at the truck on the cluster and 12-0, 12-0. So the plugs are working, getting power. Cluster's getting power. Check continuity on the printed circuit, seems to be fine. Everything is telling me we just got a bunch of burnout bulbs, I guess. I don't know, it seems kind of odd that all of them are burned out, but that seems to be the case. So I need to go to O'Reilly and get a couple bulbs, I guess, and just see if I can just get them to work. I just want turn signals, just want turn signals. And that escalated over into this. Yeah, I got the coil spring out, so that wasn't too bad. Cleaned up our control arm, about to restore that with the rattle can. And I got to figure out where to cut this spring. I've never done a half round on these. I've always done one round, because one round puts your pigtail end essentially right back in the same spot. So you just basically draw a line across here and cut it right there. And then your pigtail, you've got a pigtail end just like you had here, although they do shape a little differently inside. And then it fits back in the provision in the frame right here where it's got this little lump. People say they do a half round and they get about an inch drop, but in my brain that puts the pigtail over here. It doesn't have that indentation, so I don't know. I guess it could be fine. I think that's what we're gonna try and see. Other thing got installed. New hood cable. Didn't fix the problem. Still couldn't get the hood open. Had to use a hammer and chisel. But I did adjust this over just a hair and that fixed it. The combination of the two. This cable was stretched pretty bad. New cable, new adjustment, hood opens. Cool. But the thing I'm probably the most excited about is inside. We got a new glove box door. Got that at the junkyard the other day. So now it works. The hinge was busted on my old one, so. And if you close your eyes and squint, or maybe I get the lighting differently, it almost looks like the right color. This was, I believe, gray interior versus the dark blue. I don't know, it's close enough. Same interior I stole that armrest off of, same color, different truck. Actually, this was off a Blazer. Now we have a sport model, S10 Sport, whatever that means. Kind of interesting because this did not come out of an S10. This came out of a Blazer, but whatever. Now it's a sport, and that's what's important. I don't know if I ever mentioned or not, but these are 14s. They are, what kind of tires we got here? Grip Max Classics. These are the same things we used on the Buick and we drove 30-something miles on. 215/70R 14s. So basically the same height-ish as our 295/50 15s on the back. And they, hell, I can't really even tell the difference. They look the same to me. So that's what we got. If you're keeping score, you're looking to screw up your S10, don't lower it. I don't like lowered tracks. Technically, I didn't lower it. I mean, the V8 kind of lowered itself a little bit. I'm just leveling. I'm not really lowering. Paint. Squirrel. That looks better already. If anybody asked, this was a frame-off restoration. Yep, he took her down to the chassis. Fixed her right on up. There's the starter. There's one here. Come on, baby. Get on out of here. Come on. Got it. Pry. There's no prying in baseball. Cotter pins are one of my least favorite inventions on the planet, I will say. Cotter pins, C-clips, retaining rings. Can't seem to find my Craftsman half-inch drive ratchet. It's kind of been an enigma that's avoided me for the last several days. This thing came over with the Pilgrims. It's so old. All right, we have got our nut loose, and we've got, you know, 3 or 4 threads minimum. Not joking on that, holding that in. We will get our ball joint separator tool out here. Other side worked better because I'm left-handed and I can get it this way, but this side is going to be kind of a awkward, you know, swing. So let's see what we can do. Maybe we can backhand it. Maybe we can do this. Maybe we can give her the backhand swing. There we go. Only took 4 times. Come on. Any day now. There we go. I got one of them cameras you wear on your head. I just never get it out. I guess I could for stuff like this if y'all are interested, if it makes any kind of sense. Might be kind of fun. Get in there amongst it. Oh, hey, nope. Looks fine. There we go. We'll go ahead and jack up the control arm, put some weight on this suspension. We'll pull the nut and then we'll slowly release it. And then I'm gonna run. You guys will stand here and let me know if it goes horribly wrong. Going down. She's out of the spindle. Pew! Just kidding. Okay. Needed a little persuasion on the other side. Gentle persuasion. There we go. Got it. To scare you? That wasn't too bad. Moderately terrifying. Get off there. Not in my house. Just a little restoration. You know, frame off, no big deal. I kept my old piece here off the old spring too. I'm gonna kind of use that as a template to mark where I want this cut to be. So we'll line that guy up right there. I like it when you do that right there. Whatever happened to Chingy? Yeah, you guys are around my age. That was a banger when that album came out. So roughly right there is where we want to cut it on that mark. and then hope for the best, I think. All right, she's ramped. As my grandma would say, he ramped it. Another thing to note, if you care, ideally don't use a torch on this stuff because you can, you know, when you set metal on fire, it does bad things to it. It weakens it and messes with it, and don't do it. Just use a cutoff wheel, it's easy. If anything, this might actually help the truck a little bit because we've added more weight to the front end with the V8. These are stock springs, so anytime you cut a coil or anytime you shorten a coil spring, you increase the spring rate, which this truck probably wouldn't hurt it to have a little more spring rate with a heavier engine in it. So maybe we killed two birds with one rock. Well, yesterday, while I was working on this thing, I lied and I said I had the other side in, ready to go. We were just gonna slide this coil spring right in. Well, that turned into an epic struggle, which now I have realized. I went back and checked the other side that I didn't get the spring seated all the way like I thought. So we get to do it over again. I have a new strategy, I think. I looked it up and the internet told me that one good way to do this, or a way, remember, it's a good way if it works, is to set a hole in the frame. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the shock hole, and basically just enlarge the hole if you need to fit the rod of the compressor tool through it, and basically use the frame as the top plate instead of this C-shaped scoop looking thing of death here. That sounds like a good option. I think we can do that, run it through, put the hooks on the bottom of the spring, and then use all the coils, not exactly the bottom, but closer to the bottom. Basically use an extra coil or two to compress this thing, and hopefully resulting in at least 100% less death. All right, how far off are we gonna be here? Oh, hey, don't even have to drill it out. I'll be. So either some poor sap has been down this path before, or I got lucky because fits good. All right, well that should work. Let's go ahead and try that. Tell you what, it's like leg day when you work on this suspension on the floor. Okay, y'all let me know how it's going down there. If I should maybe duck and run or anything. Maybe stop, drop, and roll, or get under the desk. I don't know. That's what we did in school where I'm from. You get under the desk, you know, tornado season. Well, after quite the prolonged battle, I finally got the spring in, and I think it's all seated correctly top and bottom. I ended up having to do the frame trick through the top, but I had to take it back apart and only hook it on the inside of the spring because the top plate on the frame actually kind of, I guess with the way the spring was cut, the spring wants to kind of tilt out a little bit, so you have to pull it back in to get it over the little hump in the back of the lower control arm. So I ended up hooking it basically just on the back of the spring only, left this one unhooked. I'm sure that's how you're supposed to do it. And then I took a vice grip, clamped the spring right on the outside of this so this could not twist up the spring and move any further. So it held it in place. It's naturally going to want to slide up the spring as you tighten it. And I clamped this on there to keep it from moving. And that was enough to get it in, and finally get it up, get the nut in, and just kind of gently work it in place. So I got it, I think. I don't know how much difference that's going to make. I don't care at this point because whatever I got here is what I got. Any other changes we make to this, I'm either getting the torch out or I'm changing it in the rear. That's it, I'm done with this. I still have to go back and fix the other side, which I just am really looking forward to. But hopefully that won't take as long as this side now, knowing this. So we'll go ahead and get this button back up and then we'll assess from there. There she is. What do we think? New ride height. I think it looks way better. We'll get a little bit better perspective of it once we get it out and about, but man, that looks much happier. We've got just a little bit of rake. The gap there on the front is a little bit less than the back, not drastic. Ended up being, let's see, about 1.25 inches drop. I think I had 10 3/4 before from hooking on the inside lip here to the bottom of the fender opening. Now we're at about 9.5-ish. So ended up being about 1.25 inches, which is cool. It's not bad. Other side measured slightly off, about an 1/8 inch difference, about an 1/8 inch higher, but you know, that's just kind of how this stuff goes. It's not going to be perfect with 1988 springs and frames and all that. So, but I'm happy with it. Everything is within, I think, an 1/8 inch or so all the way around. Just a slight bit of rake. I don't know. I'm digging on it. I think it's like got the kind of the race car kind of thing going now. That looks better to me. Didn't take a lot. Like I said, that inch and 1/4 was about what it needed just to kind of make things happy, make that balance look good. So I got the wire routed for the fuel gauge to get that hooked up. It's just in here temporary. I'm gonna have to probably drill another hole or another grommet or something here to run that wire through. But I'm not gonna permanently connect all this until, because I'm gonna take the fuel cell out to do the spray in bed liner here coming up. I did verify it does work ish. I don't know if it'll come on now. I don't know if I got it connected or not. I think the ground may be loose. Anyways, it does work when the ground's connected. Full works good. Empty gives you a little less than 1/4 when the dash light's on, and just about E when the dash light's off. I don't know why it changes, but it does. Just Amazon, China, I don't know. But, oh, it's got fun colors, so you can change them. That's kind of neat, you know, you get in a kind of a mood. Oh, and we got turn signals. Well, works better if you turn the lights off. For some reason, that turn signal lights will stay on if you have the lights on, but we're gonna ignore that because we're mostly gonna drive this with the lights off. But there you go, working turn signal indicators. Well, good morning, back with the S10. Trying to wrap this episode up. I got everything buttoned up yesterday with the front spring situation, got her back on the ground. I think everything's looking good. A couple other odds and ends I worked on, kind of outlined. Let's go take it for a drive. We got to make sure rear end doesn't fall out of it. Brakes break, you know, all that stuff. So I'm going to hop in it, see if we can get this thing fired up. It is a balmy 37 degrees in San Antonio, which might as well be negative 37 to us down here. So let's see what this little thing's got and see if we can make a mile or two and hopefully everything works out okay. All right, let's go drive it around and see what it's going to do here. Been playing with the timing tables a little bit on it. Trying to get that a little closer. It's definitely something happier. I get a mirror on this thing. Can't see a damn thing. Brakes feel good, feel really good. Brake check. Oh yeah, should stop good. Yep, really good. It's got all the gears, so that's good. I think so. We're okay there. Well, she sure doesn't get hot in 37-degree weather. That's a start. You don't need a heater. The exhaust does it for you. Oh yeah, she'll set up sideways. The ponies are there. Got to get used to manual steering too. This thing's about 6 rounds lock to lock. You're used to about 3. You got to keep on keeping on. It's all right though. It steers good. It steers easy. Little lightweight truck, even with the V8 at the front end. No problem. Oh hey, horn button fell off. Oopsie. Had to work on that. All right, we made it. Went through park. Successful run, I think. Just want to get out and kind of check things out. I think this is the first time I've actually really had it out and gotten to take a look at the stance on it. It looks good. Digging on it. That blue's gonna pop when we get it cleaned up. Y'all might want to stick around for that. I think it's gonna look good. I got a lot of A lot of neat stuff we're gonna do to this thing, really get it tuned up. Just checking everything under here. It looks good. I don't see any brake fluid leaking anywhere. We had that one earlier when we were trying to bleed the brakes. Everything looks good. I don't see any evidence of any rubbing. I think we're good. I think the 8.8 swap was successful. Well, I think that's going to do it on this episode of our budget LS swapped 6-liter 1988 Chevy S10. This episode we did the Explorer 8.8. We narrowed it. We fitted in this thing. We welded on perches. We lowered it. We changed the stance. We did the front springs. We put on some Chinese Caltrac bars. We did a lot of it. Cleaned the frame up. Some odds and ends. So had a lot of fun doing this one. Really enjoy doing this kind of stuff and having to research and figure out and make things work. But next step on this truck is we've got to do this thing some justice. We got to clean it up. It's been a good little truck. It deserves a little bit of love in that department. I got a new hood for it. I got a roll pan. What else? We got a couple grill options. We got lights, we got mirrors, we got trim, we got door seals. We can actually put door seals in it now. So that'll be coming up on the next one. Spray in bed liner. I do have a little bit of background in doing some paint and body work also, so I can kind of give you some of the quick and dirty pointers on maybe some of that. Help you do some of your own stuff at home. Again, none of this is fancy. I don't have a fancy shop or any fancy facilities. So if you guys want to follow me, get on the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that. I'm trying to do more of that stuff now, putting out some more reels and things like that, some photos, behind the scenes kind of stuff, trying to get this channel moving. I will go ahead and see if I can get a kind of a parts list of a lot of the stuff I used. Amazon, eBay, whatever, wherever I got this stuff at. So I'll try to put that in the description if you are doing your own deal and need a little bit of maybe a little inspiration. But I think that's it for this one. Anyways, guys, I will see you on the next episode. Thanks very much for watching.